Right here. When you start a rant with a laundry list of DEI social justice checkboxes, yeah, you can save your rant. We're good. No, we're going to listen to it. Why not? Why not? That's what we're here for. Let's listen to Annie Constable try to check every...
That's a WNBA journalist at The Athletic defending what happened on the court as just another foul. And she's about to check every box imaginable to explain why you shouldn't be upset about it. This is where we are right now with women's basketball coverage.
Ah, damn. Fucking journalist. Let's go. Let's do it.
The WNBA is a collection of women, of queer women, of Black women. And these are the individuals who are most attacked in the world. It's easiest to express this vitriol to these groups of...
I'd say we're in a state these days, let me just keep it real, where it feels like what?
So we're starting with identity categories before we even discuss what actually happened on the court. That's the framework. And according to this take, the reason people are angry about a fist to the throat is because of who threw it, not because of the act itself. But let's back up. For anyone just tuning in, this is about an incident during a WNBA playoff game between the Indiana Fever and the Connecticut Sun. Caitlin Clark, the rookie who broke every attendance and ratings record this league has ever seen, was on the receiving end of what can only be described as a brutal sequence from Alyssa Thomas. We're talking about a closed fist to the throat, a knee to the midsection, a forearm to the face, and an attempted stomp that fortunately missed. The league reviewed it, called it a common foul, issued a small fine, and expected everyone to move on. They did not move on.
We don't see this level of vitriol expressed towards men, and quite frankly, like in the same way, never. Or it's
really? Because you motherfuckers think I'm Adolf Hitler. Or is that cool? Is that okay? It's all right to just say that out loud. Never attacked. Okay.
Really? Because the last time I checked, straight white men get called every name in the book on social media daily, and the mainstream media either ignores it or participates in it. But that's a side point. The bigger issue is this. When your defense of a violent play starts with a demographic breakdown of who's being criticized, you've already lost the plot. This isn't about identity, it's about what happened on the court. A player threw a punch to another player's throat during a live game, on camera, in front of millions of people. That's the story. Everything else is a deflection.
And I've talked to people who cover other leagues, who are in other leagues, and they themselves are talking about these issues not being ones that they need to grapple with. And so I think
they're not issues because you don't have a league full of queers. That's why it's not an issue.
And here's where the argument completely falls apart. She's claiming that other leagues don't have to deal with these issues, as if that proves her point. But the reason other leagues don't deal with this specific controversy is because other leagues don't have the same conflicts of interest baked into the structure. You've got players in relationships with each other across teams. You've got front offices allegedly making draft and trade decisions based on who's dating who. You've got players requesting trades to follow girlfriends, then requesting another trade after they break up. That's not happening in the NBA or the NFL. So yeah, those leagues have different issues to grapple with because the dynamics are completely different. And when you make those dynamics a central part of your league's identity and marketing, when you put that front and center in how you present the product, you don't get to be shocked when people bring it up during controversies.
They have made it part of the coverage. They've made it part of the league. Front and center. It's part of the story because Caitlin Clark is straight and white.
That discourse takes away from the greatness of the game, because this game can't just be a game.
There it is, the quiet part out loud. This is a story because Caitlin Clark is straight and white, playing in a league that's predominantly not. And look, nobody's denying that dynamic exists. But the way it's being framed here is backwards. Caitlin Clark isn't the problem. She didn't create this tension. She showed up, played incredible basketball, broke records, brought millions of new fans to the league, filled arenas, got games on national television, and made everyone more money. What she got in return was getting physically targeted on the court for an entire season, with the league doing essentially nothing about it, and with a significant portion of the media running defense for the players doing the targeting. That's the actual story. A generational talent walks into a league, elevates everyone around her, and gets treated like an outsider who needs to be put in her place. And when fans react to that, we get lectures about identity politics instead of accountability.
In the charge, get different players. Douche out your league.
Can't just be tense moments between competitors, because it always
A fist in the throat is not a tense moment. Shut up.
blows up into what we're seeing now, which is, again, really ugly discourse and players at the center of it. Like when you think about Alyssa Thomas, right? This was a foul that should have been addressed. The league addressed it. And, you know, the world keeps moving.
No, absolutely not. A fist to the throat is not a tense moment between competitors. A knee to the groin is not just basketball getting chippy. An attempted stomp is not part of the game. If we're calling those things normal basketball plays, then the sport is broken and needs to be fixed immediately. And here's what's really happening in that clip. She's trying to shift the focus from Alyssa Thomas's actions to the reaction those actions caused. Classic media playbook. Don't talk about what the person did. Talk about how mean people are being to them online. Make the perpetrator into the victim. Alyssa Thomas threw a punch at someone's throat during a basketball game. That's a fact. The league called it a common foul and fined her a few $1,000s. That's also a fact. And the response from a large portion of the WNBA media has been to defend Thomas and lecture fans about their reaction. That's the third fact. Those three facts together tell you everything you need to know about how this league operates.
By the way, there was a attempted stomp that she just happened to, luckily she whiffed on. If this is considered a typical foul in this league, then shut the whole damn thing down. Shut it down.
Of racist comments on social media, hateful comments on social media, that it gets to a level it just shouldn't ever get to. And for what?
And there's the pivot. Now we're talking about mean comments on social media directed at Alyssa Thomas, as if that's equivalent to what happened on the court. It's not. One is words on the internet. The other is physical violence during a professional sporting event. Should people be sending death threats or racist messages to anyone? Of course not. That's inexcusable, and anyone doing that should be banned from the platform they're using. But you don't get to use the existence of trolls on social media as a shield against legitimate criticism of what happened during the game. Alyssa Thomas committed a flagrant act of violence on the court. The league's response was inadequate. Fans are angry about that inadequate response. And instead of addressing why the league's disciplinary system seems broken, we're getting a lecture about online discourse and identity categories.
Brave, stunning, and courageous. Comments by Annie Constable. Do you notice how she made sure to shift the responsibility off of Alyssa Thomas onto something else? And she tried to characterize this as really just another old foul. Well, if this league and the people that cover it believe this is just another old foul.
This is the playbook in a nutshell. Take a legitimate controversy about on-court conduct and league accountability, acknowledge it for half a second, then immediately pivot to, but the real problem is the mean fans and their problematic discourse. It's a deflection technique, and it's transparent. The league created this situation, the players created this situation, the media that spent all season running defense for the targeting of Caitlin Clark created this situation, and now they want to act shocked that people are upset about it. You can't spend an entire season watching a rookie get cheap-shotted, hip-checked, undercut, and physically targeted, watch the league do essentially nothing about it, watch the media either ignore it or justify it, and then act surprised when the fan base that showed up to support that rookie is furious about a fist to the throat being called a common foul.
Get them out. Get them out. Because if you want to maintain the large number of regular sports fans that have came in to watch this league and to watch one player, if you want those ratings and that attendance and all that to remain, you've got to make major changes. Because whether Annie Constable and people of her woke-ass ilk want to believe it or not, regular sports fans don't want to watch this shit, and they're not going to. They're not going to.
If you want to maintain the audience that Caitlin Clark brought to this league, if you want those ratings and that attendance to stick around, you have to make changes. Because the new fans who showed up this year, the ones who don't have a decade of investment in the WNBA's existing culture and politics, they're watching this unfold and they're seeing a league that protects the wrong people. They're seeing a star player get physically targeted with no real consequences. They're seeing the media make excuses for it. They're seeing the league office issue weak statements and token fines, and they're deciding whether this is a product they want to keep consuming. The WNBA had the best season in its history this year by every measurable metric. Attendance was up, ratings were up, merchandise sales were up, sponsorship deals were rolling in. All of that was driven primarily by one player. And the league's response has been to let that player get brutalized on the court while a chunk of the media lectures fans about their tone. That's not a sustainable model. You can't build long-term growth on the back of a star you're allowing to be targeted. Eventually, either the star breaks or the fans leave, or both.
There's social social causes and all these things on front and center and make it a blatant preference, then yeah, people are going to bring it up when something happens. I'm going to keep this real. And this has been brought up. Mark Vargas over at Newsmax brought it up. The DOJ, the Department of Justice, should investigate this as a hate crime. You know.
And now we're at the nuclear option. The suggestion that the Department of Justice should investigate this as a hate crime. That's where the discourse has gone, and while that might sound extreme, let's think about why someone would even make that argument. If the roles were reversed, if Caitlin Clark had thrown a punch at a black player's throat, what would the response have been? Be honest, would the league have called it a common foul? Would the media be running defense for Clark? Would there be think pieces about how we need to be careful with our discourse? Or would there be immediate calls for a suspension, national outrage, and accusations of racially motivated violence? You know the answer. Everyone knows the answer. And that double standard is exactly what's fueling this controversy. People are watching a clear standard being applied to one player that wouldn't be applied to another, and they're calling it out.
Happened to Caitlin Clark over the last 3 years. Not the first time this has all been suggested, that they need to investigate, haul Kathy Engelbert's ass in, and make her sit right on the hill and explain herself.
The suggestion to haul Commissioner Kathy Engelbert in front of Congress might sound dramatic, but it's not without precedent. When other major sports leagues have had significant controversies involving player safety, competitive integrity, or organizational dysfunction, congressional hearings have happened. Baseball had steroids. Football had concussions. Why should basketball be exempt when you've got a league that appears to have a two-tier disciplinary system? And make no mistake, that's what this looks like from the outside. When you've got a season's worth of footage showing one player getting targeted with flagrant fouls, cheap shots, and dangerous plays, and the league's response is consistently weak or non-existent, that's a pattern. When that same player is responsible for the majority of your growth and revenue, and you're still not protecting her, that raises questions about what's actually driving the decision-making. Is it incompetence? Is it bias? Is it fear of backlash from a certain segment of players or media? Whatever it is, it's not working. The league had a golden opportunity this year to establish itself as a legitimate major sport, with consistent standards and real consequences for dangerous play. Instead, they've created a situation where a significant portion of their new audience feels like the game is rigged.
All right, black and white sports reporters. Well, here I am, only 2 hours removed from having put up a video involving Alyssa Thomas, Caitlin Clark on the Matrix and Roadshow channel involving the media. 2 hours ago. 2 hours later, I'm making another video involving the media and Caitlin Clark and Alyssa Thomas.
This is the framing from the channel that posted this, and it captures the frustration perfectly. You don't hate the media enough. That's become a rallying cry for a reason. Because over and over, people watch something happen with their own eyes, form a reasonable opinion about it, and then get told by media figures that their opinion is wrong, problematic, or rooted in some kind of bigotry. You watch a player throw a punch. You think that's bad. You think the league should do something serious about it, and then you get a lecture about identity politics and online discourse instead of anyone addressing the actual issue. That's why trust in sports media is at an all-time low. That's why independent creators and commentators are eating traditional media's lunch on platforms like this one. People want someone to just call the game straight, say what happened, analyze whether the league's response was appropriate. Don't make it about everything except what actually occurred. And when the traditional media refuses to do that, when they insist on filtering everything through an ideological lens that most fans don't share and don't care about, those fans go somewhere else.
Enough. You can never hate the media enough. And I've told you guys over and over and over again, this entire league is ate up with agenda. If you check the right boxes, well, I hate to say this, it looks like eventually you may get away with murder. I mean, I'm just keeping it real.
And that's the warning. If the WNBA doesn't fix its officiating, doesn't establish real consequences for dangerous play, doesn't create a consistent standard that applies equally regardless of who the player is or who they're targeting, someone is going to get seriously hurt. Not just a bruise or a sore throat. We're talking about a career-ending injury, or worse. You've got players who feel like they can get away with anything because the league has proven they can. You've got a culture where physical intimidation of certain players is not only tolerated but defended by portions of the media. That's a recipe for escalation. And when that escalation happens, when someone takes it one step too far and causes real damage, all the people who spent this season making excuses are going to have blood on their hands. This wasn't just about one play. This was about a pattern that went on all season long. Caitlin Clark got targeted in college. She got targeted in the WNBA. Every game someone was taking shots at her. Some of it was hard-nosed basketball. Some of it crossed the line. And the stuff that crossed the line rarely got called. And when it did get called, the punishment was a joke. The Alyssa Thomas incident was just the most blatant example. The one that was so egregious that even casual fans who don't follow the league closely saw it and said, "Wait, what?" But it wasn't an isolated incident. It was the culmination of months of the same behavior being tolerated.
We're having we thought we had a nuclear situation already with with national media, everybody weighing in on the Caitlin Clark, Alyssa Thomas situation. We'd be dealing with something even more nefarious than this.
The agenda he's referring to is the perception that the WNBA operates on a preferential system. If you fit certain identity categories, if you're part of the established culture, if you've been in the league for years and you're connected to the right people, you get protected. You get the benefit of the doubt. Your actions get explained away or minimized. If you're an outsider, if you don't fit that mold, if you're new and you're bringing attention and money that disrupts the existing hierarchy, you get treated differently. You don't get the same protection. Your complaints don't get taken as seriously. And if someone targets you, the league shrugs and the media makes excuses. That's the perception, and frankly, the league has done nothing to counter it. If anything, their handling of this situation has reinforced it. When your response to a star player getting punched in the throat is a small fine and a statement about basketball being physical, you're telling everyone exactly where your priorities are. And those priorities don't include protecting the player who's responsible for your record-breaking season. So where does this go from here? The playoffs are over. Caitlin Clark's rookie season is done. She won Rookie of the Year, as expected. The Fever made the playoffs for the first time in years. By any objective measure, she had a successful first season. But the conversation around that season isn't about her success. It's about how she was treated, how the league failed to protect her, and whether this is a league worth investing in long term. The WNBA has an off-season now to figure out what kind of league it wants to be. Does it want to be a niche product that caters to its existing base and maintains its existing culture, even if that means staying small? Or does it want to be a major sport that appeals to a broad audience, which requires consistent standards, real player protection, and an end to the appearance of favoritism? You can't have both. You can't court mainstream attention and mainstream money while operating like an insular subculture that has its own rules for its own people. The new fans that showed up this year, the ones who packed arenas and drove ratings, they're not going to stick around if they feel like the league is rigged against the player they came to see. And the media has a choice to make too. You can keep running defense for bad behavior and lecturing fans about their discourse. Or you can hold the league accountable, call out dangerous plays regardless of who commits them, and treat the audience like adults who can see what's happening with their own eyes. Because right now, there's a massive gap between what fans are seeing and what they're being told. They're watching a player get targeted and seeing the league do nothing. Then they're being told the real problem is their reaction to it. That gap is unsustainable. Eventually, people stop listening to you entirely. The WNBA had a gift this year. A generational talent who brought unprecedented attention and money to the league. The question is whether they're going to protect that gift or squander it. Based on how this season played out, the answer isn't encouraging, but there's still time to fix it. The question is whether anyone in charge actually wants to. What do you think? Is the WNBA's response to this controversy going to cost them the audience they just gained, or will new fans stick around regardless? Drop a comment. And if you want more coverage of stories the mainstream media won't touch honestly, hit that subscribe button. We're just getting started.